Internet, it's AndrewMycol, and welcome to this week's AndrewMycol podcast. Today we're going to be doing Kikai Sentai Zenkaiger episode 26. Now before we get too far in it, shout out to the Patreon members and also the YouTube members who will be getting this one day early. This episode picks off where Stacy had been, basically defeated by Kaito in episode 25. We see that Ladrude, one of the evil minions, basically used some of the power from Kaito's parents to restore Stacy so they can get out there and try to destroy Kaito and the Zenkaigers again. Before Stacy left to go on Earth again, what Stacy then does eventually later in the episode is he lets the mom escape. Why I find this interesting is that obviously we know bad guys, they wouldn't help the good guys at all. But for some reason, it feels like Stacy is related to Kaito. Like when we see Kaito and Stacy fight the first time in this episode, it really to me feels like that they're both related to some degree, just like, we saw with Kaito's grandmother and Stacy. We saw them both have a connection, almost as though that Stacy had knew who the grandmother was at the get-go. And then later on, we see that the TwoKaisers basically help out Kaito try to take down Stacy again. What we then see is Kaito then try to say, well, what do I want to do? Do I want to take down Stacy, or do I want to let him live so that his grandmother can be happy with Stacy still being alive? And we see TwoKaiser then come up and say, listen, you got to take down this Stacy guy, because if you don't, then it's just going to cause more evil to happen. And so we see later in the episode, we see Kaito eventually say, you know what? I'm done being the bad guy. I am going to do what is right and try to take down Stacy. So Stacy then uses his upgraded power to summon a upgraded version of Gosei Red, and we saw the powered up version of Abare. And then we see that the teams fight. We then see Stacy bring in the black version of Gaon and Zudon, and they used that mecha to take on TwoKaiser, which was really interesting how they went to this formation of this anti-hero, if you will, for the Megazord as well. Then when we get to the end of the episode, Stacy then drops a bombshell and basically says, oh, by the way, your mother has escaped from the Tokitendo. And so in episode 27, they showed a preview where they're going to go, the Kikaigers are going to go to different worlds where they had already been to try to search for Kaito's mother, who had just now escaped. The whole narrative of this season was that Kaito wanted to find his parents. Now that he knows where one of them could be, and basically we know where both of them are, what we will then eventually see maybe we'll see a conflict where the mother and Kaito do reunite. But then what if we see the father still under the control of the Tokitendo and he turns bad, and we then see this inner Kaito-ish conflict? And that would make things really interesting, because we would have this dynamic of Kaito and his mother on one side. On the other side, you would see Staceasar, the dad, and that kind of conflict. And it makes this season of Zenkaiger make it feel like it matters. Like before, when I watched this episode, I didn't really care about what was going on until we saw the conflict between Stacy and the fact of he was trying to be a bad guy, but you could tell with seeing Stacy that there was something that was keeping Stacy from truly doing something evil and just destroying Kaito's parents. What did you guys think of this episode? Let me know down in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure you leave a like and subscribe. Until next time, I'm AndrewMycol, and I will see you in the next one. Go, Zenkaigers!